In this video, we're going to talk about casting, what casting means, and some of the do's and don'ts of casting, and how casting is important in executing manipulation of data. So first, what is casting? Casting is a form of conversion, the process of converting a data from a particular type to another type, right? And there are two types of casting. You have the implicit casting and the explicit casting. Before we go in to talk about the types of casting, let's look at what does it look like to cast a data. For example, you have this data, this is 5, and it's stored in this variable x. So 5, what type of data is 5? So I just print type of x. So I run that. This is x is an integer. Of course, you should know that x is an integer based on what we've talked about previously. So what if we want x to be in a float format, not an integer? We talked about types of data in our previous videos, which I'll drop the link below. How do we convert 5, an integer, to a float? We just have another variable and we give a command float of x, right? This is the type of explicit casting anyways, but no worries. We're still going to talk about that later on. So we just say float of x, and let's print y and see what that's going to give us. Print y. Can you see? Y is 5.0. So this is an integer 5, but 5.0 is a float. So we were able to convert a data from one type to another. There's yet another type of data, which is complex data. This is always in this format. It has a number plus, and it has a real number plus an imaginary number, and then j. So let's see one. Okay, here initially we had the data as an integer, but now we have it as a complex. So what we just did now is casting. Okay, all right. As a reminder, if you haven't subscribed, can you do subscribe and like the video so that we could stay on track and keep making more videos like this. I really appreciate your support. Now let's look at implicit casting. In implicit casting, you don't need to give an instruction on whether to cast from a particular data type to another or not. The Python just does it by itself, right? The programming does it by itself. And this occurs in some mathematical operations. And as shown here, we have this data 4 stored in this variable x, and we have another data 5.5 stored in variable y. 4 is an integer, 5.5 is a float. If we perform a mathematical operation, say x plus y, and yeah, if we perform this mathematical operation, we're going to have 9.5. We didn't have it as it was. This is not an integer, but this is a float. So if you have an integer and a float in a mathematical operation, and your answer is most likely going to take on the format of a float. The answer of a mathematical operation is going to take on the format of the most complex elements in that operation. Okay, so we're going to see more examples. I want to draw your attention to this mathematical operation. When you are performing a mathematical operation on an integer or a float, you may not need to store the data in a variable, right? You could just write it out like this and run it, and it's going to give you your answer. Okay. Now, so now back to what I was saying earlier, that if you have a mathematical operation that involves elements or numbers that are of very varied types, your answer is going to take on the format of the most complex of the most complex element. For example, you have 3.5, you have 5, you have 4 plus 5 j. This is a float, this is an integer, and this is a complex number. If we perform the mathematical operation, we add everything x, y, and z. The complex data has the most complex structure here. So we expect that the answer to be in this format. So let me just run this here. So we see the real numbers are on the real number side. 3.5 plus 5 is 8.5 plus 4 is 12.5. So we have it here. Then this imaginary part remains the same. Okay. Let's go further to see other examples. For example, I have a range of number. I call them my name. That's the variable name. And this is, remember, this is another type of data range. So it's a range of 1 to 10. If I say print my num, we're not going to get access to all these numbers that are in here, right? See, if I ask it to print my num, it's just going to print out range of 1 to 10, right? And it's not going to give us what we want, and that's because it is a range. It's just going to write out the range. But if we really want to see the numbers that are inside that range, this is where this is how we see the importance of casting, right? For us to see the numbers that are in that range, we can use casting. We can cast that range into a list so that it's going to list out all the numbers inside that range. Okay? So this is what I was trying to say. Like you have the range 1 to 10, but now you have casted the range into a list. Okay, so let's print my known and see what we're going to have this time around. Print. So I made some changes to the name of the variable, added one. Okay, here you go. So now you have it listed out. You have the numbers in there listed out. And don't forget, when you have a range and you have the start point number here and you have the end point number here, you're not going to have this last number included in the list, right? It's going to be from 1 to 9. If you wanted to list out 1 to 10, then you have to make this 11, right? You're going to have this 1 to 10. So let's go ahead and print what type of data is that? Print type of my one. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, it says it's a list. Okay. So let's say we had my known as we had earlier. As and say, okay, no, let that be in front. Print my known, and then I want it to also print the type of my known so that we see the importance of the casting that we're doing. No, go back. Okay, it says there's an error somewhere. Okay, interesting. Let's look at that. Okay, you see, this is my known. Oh, let's look at it. It says range. Oh, it was never closed. Oh, I see this. I see. Okay, there we go. Let's run it again. And here we go. We have the first one, my known is a range, and then the type of data is also it's a range, and then the second one is one that was casted into a list, right? So we have a list here, 1 to 10, and then we have the type written as class list. Okay, that's how it works. Let's say we have test scores in the range of 0 to 100, and we don't want to just have the range reading out. We want a list of this range, right? What we can do is just cast the range into a list like so. Okay. And then not just that we have the test scores in the range of 0 to 100, we want it to be in the range of 0 to 100, but with an increment of 5. So we want it to be like 0, 5, 10, 15. What we're going to do is just to add a comma and add 5 here, right? And let's print test scores. Oh, it's an error. It's never closed. Oh, okay, this was what this is. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20. If you want it to be in an increment of 10, if you have this, if you want it to be an increment of 20, you just, all you needed to do was add a comma and add the number, the amounts that you wanted to increase by. Like you could take up that also and have this. It's just gonna give you 0 to 99, and you go back to that if you want to. Okay, if you want to include 100, if you just make this 101, and it's gonna be the least including 100. Okay, so we are getting closer to its application, right? All right. If you remember what we did when we were trying to work on concatenation, that if you want to, you could add two strings together to get to just get a bigger sentence or something like that. You could add numbers together through, and that gives you the value of the addition. You could add numbers with double quotation mark or single quotation mark as shown here. And this is a string. This is no longer an integer. This is a string. This is also a string. So if you add this together, this string and this string together, there will be some form of concatenation, right? And yeah, you have 31 and 10. So let's see how casting can be useful here. If you have a data as an integer, you have another data as a string, and you want you of course if you carry out this addition without converting this to an integer, you're going to have an error because m2 is a string, right? But m1 is an integer, so you can't add an integer to a string. It's going to give you an error. So what you're going to do is either you convert this to a string, you either convert 25 to a string, or you convert 15 m2 15 with double quotation mark to an integer. So I put integer of m2, right? And let's see what, and z is m1 plus integer of m2, print z, or I mean, you could actually do this or just do this. Here we go. It gave us the mathematical addition, and that is 40. So we can actually also convert this to string just by saying, give me the string of m1 and take out this one. It's going to give you a concatenation. So when you have two strings added together, we know it's a concatenation. So if you have to give an instruction to what you want your casting to be, like if you have to give an instruction to, like, maybe say like what we just did here, like we had to put in string of this, integer of that, that's called an explicit casting. So an implicit casting is one that just occurs on its own automatically, but an explicit casting involves you giving an instruction to convert to what data type you really want it to convert to. Okay, thank you. One more importance or one more usefulness of casting is displayed in some form of simple project that we're going to do now, is in we getting an information from a user, say a number, and performing some mathematical operation on that information. For example, they may put in their the information or the data as an integer, we're going to cast it into a float automatically and perform some mathematical operation and give out an output. Okay, let's see what that's going to look like. How do we get that? First thing we have to think about is how to get an input from a user. Let's see, your number. Oh no, that's the name of the variable. Then you have inputs. Just write input and then say enter a value, please. Space here, or if you don't want to, it's fine. And then, so let's see what that, when you see enter a value, please. Right, that's fine. So what do we want to do with 5? If we want to make this number, whatever number that they put in, they want to make it to be a float, all we're just going to do is the float of input. Okay, let's see. 5. Oh yeah, float of input, and then you type print okay, if they give us 5, we're gonna get 5.0. Okay, yeah, that's just one more usefulness of casting. You get a number from someone and you're able to convert it into what data type you want it to be. There's something very important you need to take note of when using an input, when getting a value from a user, is that whatever value you get from a user will be stored, will be assumed to be a string. It's not going to be an integer, even if it's a number. Okay, let's see this as an example. We say x input value 1. So whenever you see input, that means that you're actually asking for data from a user. Input value 2. So for this, whatever is written inside this bracket will be what will be like be in front of the dialog box, something like a dialog box. So let's see what this looks like. I try to run this input. Let's say it's value 1. Let's say I add 34 and I run it again. Value 2, 45. I already gave the instruction to print x plus y. Recall that when you have concatenation, when you concatenate two strings, it's just going to add them. It's just going to join them together, like literally concatenation. But when you have two integers, it's going to convert, it's going to add them, it's going to perform a mathematical operation. So if you are actually expecting to get a number from people and you want this number added up, you have to cast this input, whatever they put there, you have to cast it into an integer, okay? And that we do by adding integer in front of this, as I'm doing right now. Okay, let's do that again. Value 1, I used 34, right? Value 2, 45. Yeah, that's a mathematical operation, right? So that's one for the usefulness of casting. You can either cast from the onset like this, or you could cast whatever value your user has put in, sorry. For example, you have input value 1, input value 2, and then you have the integer of x plus integer y. I mean, this takes more lines. I think this looks more efficient than this, and efficiency is an important thing when it comes to Python programming. Let's see what this would give us. 34, and we have 45, and yeah, okay, we have the x plus y. Yeah, that's just straight up without casting into an integer. And then we also have the casting, the addition, and okay, that's it. So let's see even more examples of getting an input or getting a value from a user. Let's see, enter value x. I want to make it more interactive. Let's say enter your bat. Let's do some manipulation on Yoruba. Let's see. Enter year of graduation. Year of graduation. We want to see how many years. Let's see how old the person was when they graduated. Let's see. We just want this is just like a mini Python project, helping people to calculate the year, the how old they were when they graduated. Okay, let's see how that's gonna go. And what do we want to do with those values? We don't need just x plus y. We don't need this. Let's say graduation age. Graduation age is going to be equal to this is already casted into an integer, right? So we don't need to do that here. So you just say y minus x, right? Yeah, since it's an integer, you could just leave it like this. And let's say print graduation age. Or let's not just say print graduation age. Let's make it more interactive. Let's say your graduation age is, leave a space before you put quotation, put a comma. A comma can also work for concatenation. Is this is a variable, so it doesn't have to be in quotation. Just don't give us this number. This. Thank you. See you next time. Thank you. See you next. Yes, a bit long. All right. Okay, let's go. Let's start. Enter year of birth, 1989. No, let's do 19. Let's do closer here, 1999. Enter year of graduation, 2023. See, we did that. Set your graduation age is 24. Thank you, and see you next time. All right, so we're going to head on to do more projects. We're going to do 2 more projects that would incorporate some of the skills that we've garnered so far, and want to see how we can apply that to an actual Python project. It's going to be a mini project, so let's go ahead. So the next thing we're going to do is try to create some form of game using the skills that we already have. So we're going to use the inputs first, and we need that to ask the user if they are willing to play the game. So let's get started. Welcome. Let's call that variable welcome, or let's just say a. For welcome is more related. Welcome. That's the variable name. Okay. So input. We want the dialog box to have this note in front of it, right? We have the quotation mark because it's a string. You are welcome. Do you want to play the game? Let's be a question mark and always put this comma. Okay. After that, well, no, sorry. That's a long one. Okay. So that will be what be in front of the dialog box to be welcome. Do you want to play the game? So now I'm going to use something that we've not really talked about, but we're still going to talk about that. That's the conditional statement. If welcome, so whatever the user answers will be stored in this variable welcome. So if welcome is yes, this has to be also have a quotation. If welcome is yes, it has to have a quotation. Remember I said that whatever the user whatever data the user put in will be received as a string. So we want to say if welcome, if what is inside here is this string, if welcome is yes, then always put a comma after that, and then you can say print Let's go ahead. Thank you. Okay, let's try that and see if it works. You're welcome. Do you want to play the game? Let me see. Yes. Let's go ahead. Thank you. Okay, I made a mistake here. This should be G, right? Let's do it again. You're welcome. Do you want to play the game? Yes. Let's go ahead. Thank you. Wow, that's good. So let's get started. Um, so in this game, we're gonna have some questions. We're gonna put in some questions, and they're gonna come out as in front of a dialog box, as we've seen earlier. And then there'll be a total amount of scores, and we'll also calculate the percentage of the score. And then maybe in some other projects in the future, we're going to do some project that would involve you having a list of scores. Maybe we design the project in such a way that people are able to play the game a number of times, and we have a number of their scores, and then we have a list of those scores, and probably we could have a range of those scores also. So please stay tuned, subscribe to my channel as we continue to do more exercises around programming in Python. So I'm actually going to ask a lot of questions on chemistry because I am a chemist. I'm happy to be a chemist. And so, of course, you expect me to ask chemistry questions, but not difficult ones, simple ones. So let's start with, let's say the first question is, let's call it A, right? A will be equals to input. We want this, we need an information from the user, and what we want to be written in front of the dialog box will be written inside this bracket, okay? What is the chemical formula? Don't forget, it should be a string. What is the chemical formula for ammonia? Okay, that will be what will be in front of the dialog box. And then we start using the conditional statement again. If A, whatever the user put in, right? If A is, sorry, if A is the same as, again, don't forget there's gonna be a string and H3. If A is this, don't forget we have a column after that. And if that means you're correct, print. Correct, that's correct. Good job. Good job. Okay, so we wanted to always count the scores. So after this, we add score equal, let's initiate score to the 0. And then we're still going to do a lot of explanation on this in the future. So stay tuned. I'm going to explain what that is. Score equals 2 plus 1. That means for every time the person got it right, if the answer is that they gave is correct, which is supposed to be NH3, it's going to say, it's going to print this that is correct, and it's going to count the score to be 1. Okay, and then so if they got it right, you're going to have the score counted as 1. And if they don't get it right, let's say else. Let's say else. Print. Not great, not a great answer. All right. Let's see the next question. Let's say, what is the common name that's for A, right? And we come out of the loop. I'm still going to give you a lot of explanation on the importance of this loop. Let's put the next one. Impute. What question am I going to ask? What is the chemical formula of methane? And here we go. So if B equals to, if B is CH4, oh no, should add our colon. Print. You go. Let's do this. And then also score will be equals to +1. So you add the score, else print. Not exactly. Okay. All right. What other questions should we ask? Okay. Now go out of that loop and say, no, sorry. C. Impute. It should be in a string. What is the chemical formula for table salt? For table salt. Now the condition, if C is correct, with NaCl, we have a sprint. Go. Yay. It's correct. All right. Let's come out of that loop. Else. Print. Oh, honey. Oh, honey. All right. And that's the last question. And let's not forget to add the score underneath this place. So it keeps counting the scores. Next question. We'll call that D. And let's say that will be an input. We want to ask a question from the user. We need some information from them, right? To be as a string. What is the chemical symbol of gold? I promise it was not going to be difficult questions. Like, so that means if D is AU, we have a following. Means you are now a prof. That's flattery. Prince. Excellent. Okay. And let's have the score. Else. Prince. I don't think so. I don't. So. Okay. And then so when they're done with the quiz, we want them to get this message. So we say print Thank you for participating. Thank you for participating in the game. In the game. Okay, that should be inside here. You heard your scores was, and then you can have this could also serve as concatenation. Either you use comma or you use plus, whichever works for you. So the score, remember the score is a variable, so just write score, and then you have plus. I think that's fine. The score was this, and then not only that, we also wanted to print the percentage of their attempt. You had, no, that should be a string. You had, so we didn't perform some mathematical operation. We asked 4 questions in total, right? And multiply this by 100, right? You put that in a bracket so that you had, this should be, so that comes up as, so it's going to give you the percentage. Let's put that. Put this. Okay, let's try it. You're welcome. Do you want to play this game? Yes. What is the chemical formula for NH3? Let me intentionally write the wrong question. It says not a great answer. What is the chemical formula for methane? Let me intentionally write the correct one. Go, let's do this. What is the chemical formula for table salt? Of course. Yay, that's correct. What is the chemical symbol for gold? Let me intentionally write it correctly. This is excellent. And then it says there is an error. Okay, let's look at where can only, okay, string, not integer. Okay, okay. Okay, it seems there is an error and it has to do with this line that has this arrow in front of it. Let's look at where the problem is. So print you had, okay, there is no sign for concatenation here. There should be either a comma or a plus sign, okay? Either a comma or a plus sign that shows that you are concatenating this string with this integer with this string, okay? All right, let's start again. You're welcome. Do you want to play the game? Yes. What's the chemical formula for ammonia? NH3. What is the chemical formula for methane? NCH4. What is the chemical formula for table salt? NCl. What is the chemical formula for chemical symbol for gold? AU. Okay, it works. So thank you for participating in the game. The score was 1. Wow, that's not correct. So something didn't go right. It didn't count all the scores. Let's try to fix that. That's the beauty of programming. You need to know how to debug, how to find out when there's an issue, when things are not working. So obviously it counted this, right? So the problem is that it didn't count this one. So what happened? What happened? Okay, I think I kind of get where the problem is. It should be, yeah, this is what I wrote it for. I wrote this as this, and I was expecting that it should give me score equals score plus 1 automatically, but that's not how to write it. You should write the plus sign first before the equal sign, okay? And with that, it should be good. So the plus sign should come before the equal sign. I can already see another mistake. But that's the thing, you have to know how to debug. The mistake I'm noticing now is a mistake of indentation. If A is this, then this is correct. The indentation is right. I mean, the position of print is correct. Else, okay, this score shouldn't be here. It should be just beneath the print, and then else print this. That's correct. If this print should not be here. Let's cut that out and put it here. This is where it should be, and then score shouldn't be here. It should just be exactly beneath print, and then it should have else print. This is not also correct. The print shouldn't start from there, which the indentation has to be correct. Okay, let's see. Is this one? This one looks good, but yeah, this looks good. Plus and equals to. Okay. So when you see this score plus equal to 1, it's also the same score equals to score plus 1. Okay. So why we put it there was to keep adding the number of scores the person has for every correct answer, and we put it exactly underneath if underneath this condition that allows us to check if the person got the answer correctly. So if not, if the person doesn't get the answer correctly, okay, so everything looks good. I was spring, no honey. This one. Okay. The impute, what is the chemical symbol of gold? If D is AU, that's the correct answer. Bring excellent. Score plus 1. So the score we just keep adding. This will just allow us to keep adding the number of scores the person have. To only add scores if the person gets the answer correct. And if they don't get the answer correct, the scores will not be added, and that's why we didn't have it on the first place. So now if we check, you see the indentation of this else is different from this, and that's because this else is actually for this if. So if the person doesn't write yes, the loop is not going to go through all this inner loop. It's just going to go to the outer loop here, else. Print, thank you, try again next time, right? And then we have a thank you for participating in the game. Your score was score. You had concatenate this to this calculation, concatenate percentage. Let's try it now. Let's see. Oh, indentation error. Okay. Where is that? Not a great answer. Yeah. Okay. That was a good catch. Okay. This should be the correct way to have. Let's check through and be sure every other thing is correct before we click on run. Okay, let's do this. Yeah. Let's just say no and see what happens. See, it says, thank you, try again next time, but it's still telling us that our score is 2. How? Something is wrong somewhere. We're going to fix that. Okay, let's say yes. What's the chemical formula for ammonia? Let me intentionally write the wrong answer. What's the chemical formula for methane? Intentionally write the wrong answer. What's the chemical formula for table salt? Let me intentionally write the right answer. What's the chemical symbol for gold? Intentionally write the right answer. See, I got 2 questions correctly, and it says, thank you for participating in the game. Your score was 2. You had 50%. Okay, let's see why we were getting that weird response. Since it says, thank you, try again next time, which is what we asked it to print. And then it's telling us, thank you for participating in the game. Why is the score 2? How did it count 2 as a score? We need to check that and see what's going on. So there's some little mix up here, and that is about the positioning of the print. So what we have here is print, thank you for participating in the game. Your score was score. That's the variable, and we have data stored in the variable. Print, you had score this mathematical operation, percentage. So this whole printing is necessary if the person has said yes, if the operation went through this inner loop. So by that, we will need to put that whole instruction within that inner loop, okay? So we're just gonna have it here like this, and then so that the printing is just for whatever has happened inside the inner loop. So if the person has not said yes, the operation will not need to go through this all the inner loop. It will just come over here and print. Thank you. Try again next time. Okay, let's try that. You want to play in the game? Let me say no. It says thank you. Try again next time. That's exactly what we were expecting. Okay, let me say yes this time around. What's the chemical formula for ammonia? NH3. What's the chemical formula for methane? And CH4. What's the chemical formula for table salt? NaCl. What's the symbol for gold? Good. So it's working perfectly as it should. So yeah, we're gonna do more of this kind of project. I'm also gonna have another video that explains this loop of a thing. We have the while loop, we have the for loop, we have the if loop. So we're gonna do more videos, and I really appreciate that you subscribe and you watch out for the next videos that we're going to be having. We're also going to have other projects. Most importantly, I welcome your questions and your contributions, your ideas, and just reach out. I'll be happy to answer those. Thank you for staying. And just one more thing. I can assume that we are conversant with the word grace. Grace. Grace means undeserved, unmerited, unearned favor. Like you don't deserve it, but it's given to you. It costs the giver something, but it costs you nothing. No matter how hard you try or how hard you work for that thing, whatever you've done was not able to attain it, but it was given to you. So that grace describes that occurrence, and that is what we find in Christ Jesus. Grace in the book of Ephesians chapter 2 verse 8, Bible says, "For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of your own self. It is the gift of God." This is just to serve as a reminder, or if you're hearing it for the first time, that the deeds of our hands, what we try to do, how we try to compose ourselves every day, does not make us acquitted, does not justify us, no matter how moral or how cool you think you are. That doesn't justify you. And that's because we all, the Bible says, for all have sinned and have come short of the glory of God. We all have sinned and have come short of the glory of God. And everyone who is born into the world is born into sin, is born as a sinner and needs a savior and needs Jesus Christ. But God has given us his son, Jesus Christ. The Bible says his name shall be called Jesus. Why? Because he shall save his people from their sins. So through Christ, in God, we have grace. There's grace. No matter how guilty you are, you think you are the worst person, you've done so bad, too many bad things, God has grace for you. His grace will justify you. But there is a condition. You will need to accept him. He's not going to intrude into your life. He needs you to consciously, deliberately accept him. Believe that he gave you his son, Jesus Christ. Believe in the death and the resurrection of Christ, and proclaim him as your savior. You have grace. You'll be acquitted. You'll be free of guilt. You'll be qualified to be called the sons of God. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.